Hey YouTube! In this video, I'm going to share a quick portfolio update on how much I received in dividends in December and what I've been buying recently and how I'm positioning my portfolio to reach my long-term goal of 1 million. Alright, let's dive in. I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for tracking my investment portfolio, sharing my progresses on my investing journey, informational and entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. So in December, I received $24.44 from IYW and $517.30 from IBLC. So in total, about $541.74. IYW pays dividend quarterly and yields about 0.11%, which is basically nothing. And IBLC pays semi-annually, and this time it paid $2.56 per share, which comes out to be roughly about 12.5% yield. I was honestly very surprised by how high the payout was, but this wasn't really a regular dividend because most of it came from year-end distributions, which included short-term and long-term capital gains. But since every dollar counts, I have DRIP turned on, so all the dividends can be automatically reinvested and let the compounding do its thing. With the dividends reinvested, I added about 0.12 shares of IYW and 11 shares of IBLC in December. Now, a quick portfolio snapshot. My portfolio is currently down about $4,000, and I'm completely fine with that because just last month I was down almost $10,000 and it bounced back pretty quickly, and I expect this kind of volatility to continue, especially with all the crazy stuff happening in the market recently. If I see another sharp drop like last month, I'll be adding more shares to lower my cost basis, but I'm planning on holding these ETFs for about 10 years or so as a long-term bet on AI and blockchain. And I don't plan on selling these unless the fundamental changes with these ETFs, or if I find some better opportunities or my personal financial situation changes. I added 3 new positions this month: 40 shares of IDNA ETF, 26 shares of OKLO, 42 shares of IONQ. In total, I invested about $5,500. So my plan is to dollar cost average throughout the years, potentially up to maybe 10% or more. It really depends on the macro situations and how these stocks perform, and IYW will still be my core anchor position so that these new stocks that I bought can give me more upside potential. But these are more speculative plays, but they're very intentional, and this is a long-term bet that's connected with AI. Even though I already have significant AI exposure through IYW, but I personally believe that the next phase of AI growth won't just come from software. It will be driven by genomics, quantum computing, and nuclear energy, especially small module reactors, and let me explain why. With genomics, we now have the ability to reprogram the DNA using the gene editing technologies like CRISPR through leveraging AI. This isn't science fiction anymore. AI is already analyzing massive biological data sets, finding the best protein structures, accelerating new drug discoveries, and enabling more personalized medicine. Gene editing and DNA coding technologies are actively becoming more commercialized and could become the next multi-billion-dollar market, not just in healthcare, but also in agriculture and other scientific research. Since this technology is still in early phase, this is exactly why I'm buying IDNA ETF right now before it takes off. IDNA gives me low-cost, highly diversified exposures to genomics, immunology, and healthcare sectors with over 50 different companies in this space. Since IYW has no healthcare exposure, it helps to balance out my overall tech-heavy portfolio, and I plan on keep adding more shares over time. Right now, AI relies heavily on GPUs. The problem with that is in order to double the computational power using GPU requires massive increase in chips, energy, and infrastructure size. And we already seen chip shortage in 2025, and now we're experiencing RAM shortage. But quantum computing works a bit differently. Because of property called superposition, just by adding 1 qubit can double the information processing space unlike GPUs. A 50 qubit system can evaluate over quadrillion possibilities simultaneously with a small setup, but With GPUs or supercomputers, theoretically, you will need about the size of a city to simulate the problem rather than actually solving it. I'm not betting that IONQ will be the next NVIDIA. I'm betting that the quantum computing can be another tool to solve complex problems that the GPUs or modern computing cannot solve, things like molecular simulation, cryptography, and bioengineering, and this is why I'm buying it early also. We all know AI consumes massive amounts of electricity. And it's not just AI. Electric vehicle, crypto mining, industrial, residential demands are all driving up electricity consumptions. Elon Musk is predicting that we will be in an energy crisis due to lack of electricity. And the problem with that we're having is that we cannot keep scaling the electricity production through a traditional way like burning coal, oil, and nuclear plants. Because large nuclear plants are not only extremely expensive to build, but it can also be very dangerous. And fossil fuels come with environmental issues and political costs. But SMR technology can solve these problems since it can be factory built, much more scalable, safer, faster to deploy. So what makes OKLO especially interesting to me is that it's backed by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. The company plans to recycle the nuclear waste from nuclear plants as a fuel for its reactors. If that can be commercialized, this will give OKLO the massive opportunity to turn a long-term liability into a clean energy source. And this is why I think OKLO could end up being a major player in how we power the future. Beyond my personal views and belief, US government is already investing heavily into AI, genomics, quantum computing, and nuclear energy as part of its national security agenda. Agencies like DARPA, Department of Energy, and Department of Defense are actively funding and partnering in this area. We saw how biotechnology can be weaponized in 2019. And historically speaking, national defense has always favored those with better technology, more resources, and better access to information. And this is why the US government is actively being involved in this area. All the modern technologies that we are using now, like internet and GPS systems, were all developed by the government. And this is another reason why I'm very bullish on these stocks. But at the end of the day, I believe AI will evolve alongside genomics, quantum computing, and nuclear energy, not separately. And I wanted to expand my exposure beyond pure tech and continue to build positions in this area to speed up the growth of my portfolio to reach my goal to 1 million. But like I said earlier, these are highly speculative investments because many companies in IDNA ETF and IONQ OKLO aren't profitable yet. But this is how I'm positioning my portfolio for the next 5 to 10 years. And I'll continue to monitor these positions closely and DCA down as I work towards my long-term goal. So this wraps up this month's portfolio update, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.